On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings."
How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
Mr. President, I want you to know sometimes when I watch you striding across the White House lawn so confidently, with so much masculinity, I'll admit it, I get sexually aroused. Thank you for breathing life back into my once slumbering penis.
That was very well stated, listen.
This is about the secret bunker underneath the White House. When the East Wing of the White House was demolished by Donald Trump, he talked about building the Golden Ballroom. Remember what we said on the Midas Touch Network? It had much more to do with the secret bunker underneath the White House than building a Golden Ballroom. And we were accused of being conspiratorial. We were accused of going down rabbit holes.
When two of late-night television's most fearless voices decide to hold a president accountable, something extraordinary happens. And when that president is Donald Trump, a man whose ego is more fragile than his spray tan, the resulting meltdown is both predictable and spectacular. Over the past year, Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert haven't just mocked Trump. They've systematically exposed his authoritarianism, defended each other against government censorship, and refused to be silenced even as Trump celebrated their struggles and called for their shows to be canceled. From roasting Trump's vanity over a magazine cover to slamming his vile attacks on a murdered director.
A bunch of claims. Some of his claims are over investigations into his Russia ties and the seizure of hundreds of classified documents from Mar-a-Lago's highly secure guest bathroom. Okay, he didn't like that. He got really mad. So, okay. Now, of course, after he became president, all the cases against him were dropped. But that's not enough. The man wants his money, don't make him put his rings on. Specifically, Trump wants the DOJ to pay him $230 million, which, from the sound of this audience, is obviously ridiculous.
Republicans are siding with Democrats to force it. They want to see it all. They want to know who Jeffrey Epstein's friends are, which I have to say, I know who one of them is. He looks like this. The guy, that husky one in the pink tie yes, that is a man Jeffrey Epstein described as his.
But now Trump's own DOJ, in a court argument before federal Judge Leon, in a federal court proceeding yesterday, they said that they can't stop their construction of Trump's Golden Ballroom because of national security reasons. The Trump DOJ said, "Judge, we can't talk about this publicly. We can potentially brief you in private, but this is a national security matter." The Golden Ballroom is a national security matter. That's what Trump's DOJ is saying.
Kimmel and Colbert have proven that comedy isn't just entertainment, it's resistance. And Trump? He's lost it completely. This is the story of how two late-night hosts roasted a president on live TV, and how that president's desperate, unhinged responses proved they were hitting every target. Before we dive into this epic saga of comedy versus authoritarianism, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're bringing you the accountability journalism that mainstream media won't touch, exposing the truth that powerful people don't want you to see. Hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. September 19th, 2025. Tonight, we are all Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, I tell you, folks, I definitely did not call this one, but evidently The Late Show has outlasted the United States federal government. Because we're still open and they done shut down. But you know what? Maybe this is a good thing. You know, the government hasn't been working that great lately.
Just to give you some perspective, the government being shut down is even worse than when it's up and running. Republicans would like you to believe that Democrats shut the government down, but the bill they wanted the Democrats to sign would knock out about 15 million Americans from health insurance. If this bill passes, your health insurance premiums could go up 75%, so there was no way the Democrats could vote for it. It's like like going to dinner and the waiter says, you must order lasagna. The chef made it today. And a bunch of you are going to get food poisoning from it. But if you don't eat it, you've ruined the meal. That's that.
Do you remember when Donald Trump let it slip? And Susie Wiles, well, she's been in the news a lot lately, Trump's chief of staff, and Pete Hegseth were looking like, oh man, did he just say that? Where Donald Trump said that the military was involved in the construction of his Golden Ballroom? Why would the military be involved in the construction of the Golden Ballroom if you claim that your rich friends and you yourself, Donald, are paying for the Golden Ballroom? That was suspicious.
The story begins in September 2025, when ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel after he made comments about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr threatened ABC stations. Trump celebrated on Truth Social. Nexstar and Sinclair pulled Kimmel's show from dozens of markets. And suddenly, one of America's most outspoken critics of authoritarianism was silenced. That night, Stephen Colbert opened The Late Show with a declaration that sent shockwaves through the television industry. Tonight, we are all Jimmy Kimmel. This is blatant censorship, Colbert said, his voice filled with anger and conviction.
So Trump told Republicans to all vote for this. He was clearly furious that they did. He signed the bill after the White House issued a so-called photo lid, which shut down any on-camera opportunities. He signed it off camera, and he'll sign anything on camera. Executive orders, sneakers, lady parts, wall parts, a toddler. Trump is avoiding cameras. That's like the Pillsbury Doughboy avoiding nudity.
It's impossible. You can't turn him off. He won't power down. He's like Ultron. He just keeps going. Every day, it's something crazier than the next. I made a list. This is all in the last 2 months. I made you a quick list. I will run through it. He paved over the Rose Garden. He's building a Golden Ballroom at the White House. He's planning a UFC fight at the White House. He cut off Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. He named himself host of the Kennedys.
That raised red flags, and at the Midas Touch Network over a month ago, we did a deep dive investigative piece where we said this entire ordeal is about Donald Trump wanting to redo the underground bunker that was first built by FDR during World War II, and it has since been reinforced to deal with potential nuclear attacks, but that Donald Trump wanted to reinforce it due to his paranoia. Remember, we gave you the historical analogs.
With an autocrat, you cannot give an inch. It was an extraordinary moment. Colbert, whose own show was already being threatened by Trump's administration, used his platform to defend a competitor, not because they worked for the same network, not because they were friends, but because when authoritarians come for one voice, they eventually come for all voices. And Colbert understood that the only way to fight back was to stand together. With an autocrat, Colbert repeated, you cannot give an inch. Trump, watching from wherever he consumes his nightly diet of cable news and social media rage, didn't appreciate the solidarity. He saw it as insubordination.
Well, I have some bad news. Our government is now officially shut down because we don't have funding to pay the federal workers. Trump really is running the country like it's one of his businesses. He said he would.
Traditionally, the senior leadership of the U.S. military never claps for political speeches. That's the tradition. They're supposed to be nonpartisan and sit there stone-faced. It's like doing stand-up for Easter Island heads. So Trump didn't love the crowd.
I've never walked into a room so silent before. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room.
Roger that.
Adolf Hitler in building his Golden Ballroom. Turns out the real reason for it was that he wanted to build the bunker for himself. And folks, This is what Trump's DOJ argued, that this is a national security issue. Go back and watch the video I did a month ago. Secret bunker exposed underneath the ballroom. Trump builds secret bunker underneath the ballroom. And do you remember when Donald Trump was also talking about how there was donors who were giving $130 million to the military, or one donor was giving $130 million to the military?
Two late-night hosts refusing to bend, refusing to be intimidated, refusing to shut up. The meltdown was just beginning. September 30th, October 1st, 2025. The guest swap that broke Trump. When Kimmel returned to television after his week-long suspension, he and Colbert did something brilliant. They appeared on each other's shows. Kimmel traveled to New York for The Late Show. Colbert appeared on Kimmel's Brooklyn Week special. And together, they delivered a masterclass in how to resist authoritarianism with humor, honesty, and defiance.
There's going to be one less puddle of sweat on the floor mat of the congressional gym because Marjorie Taylor Greene, yet another Trump superfan, learns that loyalty to him goes only one way.
I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead.
I have to say, this woman is being attacked from all sides right now. Somehow, she still had time to put up her Christmas tree. Not even Thanksgiving. She says Congress is beholden to the super wealthy and ignores the needs of ordinary Americans. She says her party has no plan for health care and that the Jeffrey Epstein files are not a hoax, as the president claims they are. To which I say, welcome to reality, Marge. We're glad to have you here. Make yourself at home.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Are the Epstein files out yet? No? Okay. How about now? Are they, All right, just checking. You'll let me know. Stop me in mid-sentence if anything happens over it.
One of the things I flagged is I wonder if that was going to help Donald Trump build his bunker, and if that's how Donald Trump went from saying that the Golden Ballroom was $200 million to now saying that it's $400 million. It was $200 million to $300, and now it's $400 million. Let me just again break this all down for you, but a reminder. Make sure you hit subscribe to the Midas Touch YouTube channel. We are months ahead of these stories. We have great sourcing, we do fearless reporting, and you know we're under attack by the Trump regime.
On The Late Show, Colbert asked Kimmel a question that cut to the heart of the moment. Did you ever think the President of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment? Kimmel's response was immediate and raw. I mean, that son of a bitch. The audience erupted because Kimmel just said out loud what millions of Americans were thinking. The President of the United States, a man who claims to love workers and hate coastal elites, was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. He was taking pleasure in silencing a critic. He was behaving like every petty dictator who came before him.
Did you ever think the President of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment?
I mean, that son of a bitch, you know, is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
I mean, Mr. Yes, yeah, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again. I mean, I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. There's somebody who took pleasure in that. That, to me, is the absolute opposite of what a leader of this country is supposed to.
And State Regime Media Knows Fox. You may think you're subscribed, but just double check. So, just to give you a brief history lesson here, a bunker was built underneath the White House by FDR during World War II. It was since reinforced. It has its own ventilation system. It was meant to, in theory now, withstand nuclear attacks. You probably have seen it in those photos after 9/11 of Dick Cheney looking like he was in a situation room with George W. Bush's cabinet. That was in this area called the Presidential Emergency Operations Center.
I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, Kimmel continued. And I hope we don't ever have another president like this again. I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. But somebody who took pleasure in that to me is the absolute opposite of what a leader of this country is supposed to be.
Even tried a case as a prosecutor, and now she never will again. This was the most crushing defeat for Lindsay Halligan since she was third runner-up at the Miss Colorado pageant in 2010. According to the court ruling, all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment were unlawful exercises of executive power and are hereby set aside, which is a nice way of saying, man, did they royally F that one up. Sometimes you get hung up on how evil they are, you forget they're also dumb.
So, Trump signed the bill. It is now law. The Epstein files must be released. Specifically, the Justice Department now has 30 days to publish whatever information it has, meaning the deadline is December 19th. So it's going to be a very special Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday. And I wouldn't have made that reference, Jake, if you ever invited me to your party.
I said, they're tearing down the East Wing. Trump saying the military is involved. I wonder if that's really what they're doing. And authoritarians tend to think alike, and Hitler wanted that bunker badly. And you could imagine Donald Trump seething in his paranoia, saying, I need a bunker, especially if Donald Trump doesn't want to leave. Dan Diamond, Washington Post reporter, was in the court proceeding that took place on Tuesday, where a group, the National Trust for the Historical Preservation of Washington, D.C., sued Donald Trump to block the construction of the ballroom. Now, the Trump regime made two arguments.
It was a moment of genuine emotion from a comedian who had just spent a week watching his career hang in the balance because he dared to tell the truth about political violence. And Trump, who monitors late-night television like a stalker monitors his ex's Instagram, saw every second of it. His response came swiftly on Truth Social. I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone, and his talent was never there.
And Trump isn't even trying to hide his awfulness. His critics accuse him of being a wannabe dictator, so what does he do? He sits down with Hungarian dictator and elephant seal barking for a trout, Viktor Orban. Orban went down to Mar-a-Lago on Friday for an official fake state visit with the not president. Orban's a bad guy. In the last decade, he has weakened the institutions of democracy, eroded the legal system, and eliminated effective opposition. Did you ever know that you're my hero for trying to end democracy?
And his personal madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, out of real prison last month and transferred her into what is basically a courtyard by Marriott. The woman who has all the information on everyone is suddenly in a prison that has Pilates class, thanks to President Trump, and nobody bats an eye about it.
The Trump regime said, we're doing some stuff underground. We can't talk about it public, but the specific language the Trump regime used is that Trump's life would be in danger if the judge blocked this. It is an incredibly important national security interest, is what they were saying. Justice Department lawyers argue that work must continue on the ballroom, given the national security concerns, and that the White House was exempt from reviews that apply to federal agency construction projects like this. They also said that underground construction was needed to replace security infrastructure, warning that any halt could endanger Donald Trump's life.
These aren't just comedians making jokes. They're citizens using their First Amendment rights to hold power accountable. They're journalists using humor to expose truth. They're resistors refusing to bend to authoritarianism. And Trump's meltdowns, his constant attacks, his desperate attempts to silence them, his celebration when one of them gets canceled, prove that they're winning. Because authoritarians don't obsess over people who don't threaten them. They don't try to silence voices that don't matter. They don't weaponize government agencies against comedians unless those comedians are exposing something real.
For his date with the British press by yelling at a reporter from Australia who dared to ask about the billions of dollars he's been raking in since the election.
President Trump said a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Paul Cornum program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Well, go ahead, John.
Here's Trump on Saturday mocking the speech impediment Joe Biden has had since childhood.
2 nights ago, we all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant of a State of the Union address. Didn't it bring us together? Remember, he said, I'm going to bring the country together.
Wow. Wow. You really want to go there? First of all, Biden didn't stutter like that. Second, if you want to make this a word-talking contest.
Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert roasted Trump on live TV. They exposed his vanity, his cruelty, his incompetence, and his authoritarian instincts. They refused to be intimidated when he weaponized the FCC against them. They refused to be silenced when their shows were suspended or canceled. And they refused to normalize behavior that should never be acceptable from any president, let alone the President of the United States. Trump lost it. He melted down on social media.